Hey, what's going on, my beautiful people? The certified life and relationship coach, Coach Court. In today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about forgiveness and why it's so important to forgive people during the healing process. If you guys can hear me, let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me and are following what I'm saying. Now, I thought this was an important topic because when you're going through your healing process, people really struggle as far as like being able to see the other person's point of view, being able to see where they're coming from, and being able to forgive them for some of the things that they did. Now, I'm not saying there's a lot of different circumstances and conditions, and I know people are going to talk about this down in the chat. I know people are going to be saying this in the comment sections. Well, what about if I was abused, and what about if I was this and that, and blah blah blah. And I understand that. I completely understand that not everything is one size fit all. So I get it. But when it comes down to like, if a person was to just say, hey, this thing isn't working out and they wanted to move on, it's important for you to grasp that concept that, hey, they're at a different point in their journey at this point in life. And they're just going to be, doing what's best for them. And your best bet is to heal. In order to heal yourself is to forgive them for whatever they did. If they walked on like this. So I had an email from somebody, one of my clients, one of my coaching clients. What's up, Glenn? And he was talking about how a lady had monkey branched onto somebody else, had already had this person lined up, had them ready to replace them with the next person. Now, there's not a lot of people that know a lot about monkey branching. It's a term that your average Joe don't really understand or comprehend, but it's a real thing. That's the term for it, is when you think about monkeys in the wild, they hold on to one branch, and then until they have the next branch secure, they'll lead the other branch on and make them feel like, hey, I'm holding on to you forever, and then they'll go over to the next branch. If you're the guy to send me that email, here's your response right now. I figured I can do it live for you. Your best bet throughout that process is to heal, is to forgive them for what they did. Because chances are you knew who they were and some of their bad tendencies, some of the things that they would, you kind of look a little sketchy when you were in a relationship with them. If you go back and you think about, what they did before you, like maybe they were monkey branching to you, maybe they were getting over another breakup and they're coming over to you. And your best bet is to just suck it up and accept it as reality. One of my favorite quotes is you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. So this is why when I was working in the 12-step, working in the rehab center that I worked at for a little while there, part of the 12-step program was forgiveness. And, you had people that came from really bad, toxic, really just damaging situations growing up, and they still would but they still would encourage them to forgive the person that offended on them or the person that treated them poorly. And this goes back to my Dr. Wayne Dyer told a story that I listened to once or twice or maybe 100 times. I don't know. It's been a lot. He talks about, when he went to go speak and give lectures, because he was a recovering alcoholic himself. He would go give lectures or speeches to the community, and he said he saw a sign above the door, and he said that said there are no justified resentments, which makes total sense. You could take resentment all the way to the grave with you. It'll definitely cause more strife and more stress and more depression in your life. But once you realize that, what a person does to you and what a person says to you has everything to do with what they got going on internally, which is why you see a lot of those parents that end up being terrible parents and they end up passing that down, and the person end up being very resentful and very angry at their parents. Going on with Wayne Dyer, what he said was there are no justified resentments. Once you get bit by a snake, it's over. You're bitten. That's it. That's not what's going. That's not what's going to kill you though. What's going to kill you is the venom that continues to pulse through your vein. That's what's going to be ultimately your demise. You're going to die from the toxic that you allow, the venom that you allow to continue to pump through your veins. So when it comes to forgiveness, your best bet is to forgive them for being who they are, not for what they do, not for letting you out, not to let them off the hook. You're forgiving them for being who they are, because we're only as good as our predecessors. We're only as good as our ancestors. So chances are they had that passed down to them. And you know how it goes, generational hurt and generational pain, generational trauma, it always gets passed down. But you don't have to continue to keep that cycle going. If you have to cut off toxic people, if you have to cut off toxic family members, if you have to cut off anything that's going to prevent you from growing, which is the monkey on your back. This is part of, why forgiveness is important. In order to get that monkey off your back, you have to forgive them for you, not for them. Not to let them off the hook, not to let them feel as if, hey, I've gotten away with one, or I feel much better that you forgave me. You're forgiving that person for you. What's up, Glenn? Monkey branching does hurt. 100% been there, done that. Happy I truly forgave him. Happy to not be with him. There's a lot of lessons you can learn in life. Some lessons come with a tremendous cost. Some lessons are ones you wish you never had to experience. But I can tell you that every time that I went through a drastic change in my life, or extremely traumatic situation, I thought this definition of trauma was very empowering, or actually it just woke me up. Trauma is things that happened to you in the past that shouldn't have happened, or things that should have happened that didn't happen. Now that definition of trauma did everything for me. When I first read it, like, wow, that's absolutely correct. And once you realize that it had nothing to do with you, I mean, sure, there are people who could have showed up better in their relationships. There are people that could have showed up better in their jobs, and if you were working your job and you consider it to be your dream job, you end up getting fired. You're upset. You feel like you can never forgive the manager for treating you that way. Gave him a decade of my life to the company, and once you realize that, they just decided to go in a different direction. And I feel like every relationship has an expiration date. Many of us just don't want to accept that and come to that realization. But everything has an expiration date. Everything ends. Everything dies. Everything changes. And everything ends. Which is why electronics, they get updated so often. Once a year, if you have something that's a year old, you're out. Like you're probably going to get some rinky-dink material, or what they call it whenever you take pictures with old phones. You might have a potato. You might be taking a picture with potato. But it's the same way with relationships, with your purpose in life too. Like even my job, my career has changed so many times. It's not even funny. This isn't even my last step. This isn't my last stage. I won't be relationship coaching forever. And I know that. But at this point in my journey, I know that this is just where God is calling me to be. This is what brings me the most fulfillment. And it makes me want to wake up in the morning. So heading back to the topic. If you guys are in here, put a 1 in the chat. Say what's up. Let me know where you at. Coffee with Court. I'm not drinking coffee. I kind of gave up coffee for a while. I think I drink it like once or twice over the past 40, 50 days, which is impressive for me. Getting back into water. Molly's readings. Thanks for being here, Molly. I appreciate you. Thumbs up the like, thumbs up the chat. If you're not part of the membership program, it's taken off. Like, people are really, really finding great value in the membership program. 70% off your your one-on-one coaching session that you would get through my website. Just go to my homepage, click the join button. You get 20 minutes of coaching with me every month. And I'm getting really good feedback on it. It's just, I'm blessed. It's taken off. It's crazy. Also, my book, that link is in the description below. You can go check that out. So you have the membership and that book, $5. It's my story of how I began coaching. I appreciate all you guys for being here. And let's go back to talking a little bit more about forgiveness and why it's so important. You're not forgiving the person or to let them off the hook. You're not forgiving them for them. You're forgiving them for you. So you don't have to continue to carry around that burden, that strife, which would take you to an early grave. I was coaching a guy, once, and he was telling me about his dad, and his dad had died at a very young age. His dad died when he was 34. This is a couple years ago. His dad died when he was 34. And the way he died was from a heart attack. And a heart attack at 34, I was like, wow, that's crazy. And I think I might have been, around the same age. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Somebody died of a heart attack at age 34. But he also said his dad carried around a lot of anger, a lot of stress, a lot of resentfulness about the way that he was brought up. He was brought in. He came over as an immigrant from Mexico, and he just had a whole lot of just trauma stored inside him. But he ended up having a heart attack at the age, and dying, critical heart attack at 34, which is insane. I'm assuming that there was a lot of people that he didn't forgive in his life that he should have. And it would have, if he would have prayed on it, meditated on it, and just released that resentment that he felt for that person or people, he may not have had, such high blood pressure. Forgiveness helps you to move on and rebuild. Hello, everyone. Marilyn. Hey. Claudette, thanks for being here. You're welcome. Impressive. You've switched the water. Yeah, I'm switching it up. trying to drink more water, set better intentions for my days. And I don't know, just enjoy life every day, one day at a time. When you guys get to the point, I know a lot of you guys are here, you find my work because you're trying to get somebody back, you had a heartbreak, you're struggling and with your purpose in life, struggling with a bunch of different areas in your life. And this is one thing I learned about, people who don't have a purpose or can't find their purpose, or they're just really at a weird spot in their journey. They tend to really grieve and ruminate over breakups. It's because it's like the relationship was like that one bright spot in their life, that one sense of paradise and happiness and fulfillment that, when that thing disappears, they struggle to be able to recenter themselves, because chances are they lost themselves. They kind of shadowed the person that they were with. They got really enmeshed with that person. And once that person disappears, they don't know where to go from there, because if they're in a place where they still hate their job, they still hate their living conditions, they still struggle with some type of addiction, the person that was their happy place, their safe place, when they're gone, they have to refine it and relearn that all over again. We often neglect our friendships, we neglect our family, we neglect a lot of different things when we're in that relationship. So when that person says, yeah, this isn't working out, or hey, I met somebody else, if they give you that due diligence of telling you that they've met somebody else, the person really struggles. Thanks so much for your honesty and insight. One thing I learned about coming into this line of work, understanding the behavior and changing my response to the behavior makes a huge difference. Yeah, it does. Hi, Coach. My husband cheated. He blocks me on and off. I don't I don't talk to him, but he is really angry with me. I don't understand why. Um, he cheated. So the question I would have was, did you see any of this coming? There are always signs and indications of a person being unhappy. Um, the fact that he's just kind of like, I guess I need to know a little bit more. The fact that he's angry with you probably has a lot to do with the guilt that he feels, or it keeps him able to sleep better at night. You know, when you're guilty and you don't want to admit it, making somebody else the villain is going to, um, kind of help you. And when it comes to anger, anger is a secondary emotion. There's always something that comes before anger, whether it's hurt, whether it's disappointment, whether it's frustration. There's always going to be something that comes before anger, which is why when people say, if your ex is angry with you, uh, then they probably still love you, because the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. But if they're showing you indifference about anything, about the breakup, um, then he still has feelings for you. How long were you guys together? You're a good dude. I appreciate that. Day 21 of my recent breakup, I feel weird saying I'm mostly happy. He left me, and I do miss him though. Most of the time when people miss someone, it's not the actual person that they miss. They miss the feeling that that person gave to them. They don't miss the actual person. They miss the idea of the person, what that person meant in their life, the significance of them, and the feelings that they gave you. It's like that one quote. Um, it's not about what you say. People will miss. It's not about what you say. It's not about what you do. It's about how you made that person feel. And in different moments of your relationship, your marriage, you may have made him feel like the best person in the world, or he may have made you feel like the best person in the world. And that's what you're missing. You're missing that void in your life, that hole that that person left, not the actual person. Because it's funny how I work with a lot of different men in particular that come to me, they're trying to get somebody back, they're struggling, and I ask them, what was going on in the relationship, and they would say, what's funny? I was about to break up with her. I was about to leave either her or him. I was about to leave that person because I wasn't satisfied in the relationship, and that person did it to me first. Like, well, is it the person that you miss, or do you have a bruised ego? Because there was some signs that you were seeing that made you want to leave that person, and that person probably picked up on it. It's just like when you hate your job, you hate like getting up to for your job. You may have passed the first 6 months of working there, which you loved, and then all of a sudden you're like, I don't really like this job anymore. And then you start waking up late, and you start taking unnecessary days off. Um, you start, arguing and bickering with your coworkers, or your employer, and you just know that this job isn't going anywhere, and you actually hate it. But we will stick around in situations and circumstances, relationships, jobs that we're not really happy with, because we're too afraid to take that extra leap and to go out and find something better, something a little bit more fulfilling. And that's just how we work. That's how we operate. We'll do more to avoid the pain of losing that person and having no one, and having to be lonely, and having to go through the dating process, than we would to cut that person off and start it all over again. It's weird how it works. And this is why, going back to the email that I got from the guy, this is why a lot of people monkey branch, because they want to feel their replacement. Monkey branching in really rebound relationships, they never work, or they rarely work, before they turn toxic, and before they realize, oh man, I need to really do some processing of my own behavior, my own personality here, before I go out and try to join lives with somebody else. This is why people monkey branch, because they can't stand the fact of being alone and being able to find who they are again. They'll rather go out and link up with somebody else and then mesh their life with somebody else. Currently healing. All right, getting up to the chat here. How do you get over the verbal things they said? He told me he tried to love me, but he couldn't after 1.5 years. I think the fact that he was honest with you and you got that sense of closure, I think that's like, it's almost like gold these days, because there's not a lot of people that will do that, that are just going to be that brutally honest with you. It's not going to help, you know. Honestly, when you hear stuff like that, it definitely doesn't make you feel any better. But since he was able to do that and say that to you, you know, at least it wasn't anything like brutal, like, oh man, you got on my nerves, like you were snoring, you ate up all the food around the house, you didn't contribute. At least he wasn't that brutal. I actually kind of applaud him for being that transparent. You don't understand that there are a lot of people who won't give you that closure. They won't. Some people will just ghost you and never talk about it, never give you any type of reasonings as to why they made their decision. And then you're like, all right, well, it's almost like, I can't say it on YouTube, but it's, you know, dang if you do, dang if you don't. If I tell you what the problems were, it's going to make you feel bad. And if I don't tell you, then you're going to consistently beat yourself up and struggle with trying to figure out why this thing fell apart. I wouldn't have left him, but my anxiety was through the roof. He became flaky. Yes, I had withdrawn all my sweet words. He said, I don't feel connected to you. Hey, if you guys are coming in here, do me a favor and appease the YouTube analytics. Just give me a like, put a 1 in the chat, whatever. Help boost the analytics and let people know that this content is worth watching and worth sharing with the rest of the YouTube community. We were together for 10 years. We have 2 kids, but he listens to his mother and his sister all the time. He doesn't want to support me financially. Shall I let of him and move on with life? You know, that's kind of a personal decision, because I don't live your life. And when you have kids involved, and if he's with somebody else, I mean, you don't really have much of a choice at this point. At this point, you kind of have to accept reality for what it is and move on for your kids' sake. Your kids are going to be the ones that's going to be watching you. Now, who is that? I just saw a quote, which makes absolute sense. I tell people all the time, you know, make sure that you don't stick around for the kids, especially if it's a toxic situation. If a person's not happy or in love with you, it doesn't even have to be toxic. If a person isn't happy with you, they're not in love with you, your kids are going to pick up on that essence. They're going to pick up on that sense of disdain or resentment for you. And they're going to go out and find other relationships that's going to find people that and get into relationships that's going to reflect that relationship. You want your kid to see you happy. You want your kid to see somebody that's like in love with you, treats you well, speaks kindly of you. You know, don't back talk, don't talk bad about you behind your back. Practicing integrity, truthfulness, encouragement, all those good things that come along with being in a healthy relationship. But if you're just purely there just because, you know, you don't want to break up the happy home, you don't want to have the kids there, and being introduced to somebody new or anything like that, then, you know, it's the quote said, it's better to have 2 healthy homes than have kids live in one toxic one. And that's exactly how you got to view it. And you know, single moms are really good at doing this. Single moms understand when a situation isn't healthy for the kids and when they have to pull out and do what's best for them. You know, they're actually experts at doing that. Men not so much. Like men are the ones that will stick around. And I don't like to put like heavy generalization on it, but I've read studies on this. You know, this is why most divorces are initiated by the woman. 70 to 80% of the marriages that dissolve are initiated by women. Men are the ones that'll stick around, till death do us part type deal, unless something comes about where, somebody came into their life and kind of drew them away from you, um, or it was just a toxic situation. They felt like they had to get out. But um, it's definitely not a good deal to have kids sticking around in situations like that. Any more questions? Happy Monday. So the topic of the conversation today, if you guys aren't part of my membership program, go to my homepage, click join. It's 70% off if you're not a member of my coaching sessions. And you get, as long as you're a member, you'll get 20-minute coaching sessions with me every month. We can just go through, change the wheels around, change the oil in your life, and see what we need to work on. I give you some homework, give you some tools you can use moving forward, as well as hearing whatever you got going on and how your life is improving so drastically. I have people that's been members for about 10 months now, which is crazy. Like that's actually pretty cool. Claudia, it's kind of hard for me to keep up with that. If you want to super chat it, and if you want to super chat it to keep it to the top, I can do that for you. Otherwise, you can book a session with me and we can do it. I can get the whole context of your situation. Bat birth control. What's up? How can an AA move on from a DA without trying to find another relationship? Been 8 weeks and still feel rough. How long were you with this person? And I was just listening to this on another podcast that I was listening to, and what the guy was saying was he wrote a book, really really great book. I think is the book's called How to Get Over Breakup. Literally, the psychologist. He was saying that everybody's time frame is different. You can just be coming out of a 2-year relationship and it takes you 2 months to heal. A 2-week relationship, it takes you 2 months to heal. 20 relationship takes you 2 months. Everybody's different. Depends on how attached you was to that person. And unfortunately, we have not even going to go there. This is something we could talk about in a private session if you guys are interested in a private session, but the world isn't set up the same way, or the society isn't set up. Relationships aren't set up the way that we always thought they were. I think a lot of men get attached really, really easy. And this is a lot of men, for a fact, struggle the most getting over breakups. Because we have this view of what love and relationship should be, which is why we're the one that plan the date nights and get the flowers, the roses, the Swedish Day, the Valentine's Day. We're the ones that do that. So, Claudette, if you want to book a session with me, that link is in the description below. Just click my link tree and you can go to my Calendly and book a session. Not my ex. Your ex probably is just avoiding. I'm pretty sure of it. I know your story, Lynette. Your ex is just avoiding, and when you've operated so long with a certain mindset, it's pretty much impossible for you to change that without some type of external help. Like, you're not just going to do it on your own. You're not just going to wake up one morning and say, boom, I think I'm going to start communicating more healthy. I think I'm going to start responding to messages right away. I think I'm going to initiate I love yous and hugs and stuff. I think I'm going to become more affectionate. It just doesn't happen that easily, especially when you've been operating a certain amount of time. Now, if you're somebody that's been through only a couple relationships, you may be in your mid-20s. You're going to, sorry, my phone's going crazy here. In your mid-20s, you're going to be a little bit more flexible about the way you operate, because you're going to be constantly asking yourself, is it me or is it the person that I was dealing with? But when you get to an age and you're older and you realize, hey, you've gotten to the point where you've been through so many different relationships and so many different marriages that's broke down, you start to ask yourself, like, yep, Or you don't even ask yourself. You tell yourself, like, this is me, and this is just how I am. This is how I operate, and this is why. Um, when I work with people that are older, um, I usually applaud them first off and say, "Man, you came to me, in your late 50s, and you're wanting to change yourself. That's a step in the right direction. Like, bravo." Because most people are just going to say, you know what, this is how I am. This is how I've always been, and this is how I'll always be. So I might as well just take it to the grave with me. It takes more work for me to seek out a therapist and a counselor and book weekly sessions or bi-weekly sessions or whatever, than to just be separate, be single, and just live life the way I want to live it. It is sad. Yes, men do the work that is acts of service. I feel like I don't bring much to the table. Well, when you talk like that with that limiting belief, then you won't bring much to the table. I listened to a guy named Neville Goddard, and he's got a night he's got a lecture out called "Act as If," which is act as if you're living in the end. Picture the person that you want to be and live in that end. Live in that essence of that person. When I first started this coaching business, I took this is why a lot of my handles is I am Coach Court, because I have to believe that I am what I want to be and what I perceive myself to be. There's this quote that was this beautiful quote. It says, I am not who you think I am. I am what you think I am. I am not who you I am not what I think I am. I am not who you think I am. I am what you think I think that I am. There it is. Which is a crazy, like, that's like when I first read it, I'm like, which is just the whole deal. Like, hey, this is all, life is all a stage and we're all actors. And once I realized that, hey, I have to be Coach Court, I have to take on, I've done enough studying, I've done the schooling, I've done it all, I've been through my experiences. I had to embody, what Coach Court and who Coach Court is. But the problem is, it's hard to take off that hat sometimes during the most crucial times in my life. When I'm trying to just, talk to people on a daily basis, I have to be very mindful about not letting Coach Court take the driver's seat and letting Courtney just be who Courtney is. That's another way that people struggle after breakups. People say they lose themselves, and that's absolutely true. You lose who you are, because usually you form similar interests with the people that you're with. They become like family to you, and when that person's gone, like I said before, you're like, I don't know who I am anymore. I got to find new hobbies again. You got to find a new friend circle, and you really have to do the work. And the work is not easy. Been going through a divorce for half a month now. He removed me from Netflix account as such, but still has my picture as his phone screensaver. Why wouldn't he change it if it changes? You're really like drive yourself crazy by looking at all those little different signs of why a person does what they do, why people do what they do. Nobody really knows why they do what they do. Chances are, Dina, he does still have feelings for you. He's probably in a confused space. You have to think about too, like, men, like, we hit a certain age where we feel like we need to just turn over a new leaf in our life, and maybe he's at that point, but he's not quite sure where he wants to be. Um, if he still has your screensaver, I mean, clearly he can't bring himself to removing that part from his life. And it's only been a half a month. It's still pretty early. I mean, in my situation, should have been more given. I love Neville. I love Neville. I forgot living in the end. Still on the ladder of manifestation, for sure. I did lose me, but I'm back. Welcome back, Lenice. So make sure you guys are in the comment section. Make sure that you're keeping things clean and PG because I don't want to get in trouble here on YouTube, and I appreciate that, you guys, for listening. If you guys haven't liked the feed yet, like this, share it. Oh, 1.5 months. Yeah, it's still pretty early. If you haven't liked the feed, go ahead and like the feed. Put a 1 in the chat. Appease the YouTube guys and let them know, hey, this is something that people want to hear. If people have questions, they can get over here and ask me right away. I mean, in my situation, should I be more going? I love Neville. All right, Coach. My husband doesn't ever want to apologize, admit he is wrong, or find a solution to any problem. I was literally just talking to somebody about this last night, and it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about them. It's 100% about them. Whenever I come across people who struggle to give apologies, who struggle to take accountability for the things that they do, it's usually because they have a lot of insecurities, and admitting fault to something, admitting that, hey, I was in the wrong, I'm sorry, it really stings, and it really makes them feel flawed. It makes them feel even more broken and insecure than what they already are. This is why people who struggle with NPD or narcissistic personality, they can't say sorry, because it just lets them know that they have to take that mask off of who they feel they are, or who they think that they are, in order for them to say that sorry. So they won't. They'll just either gaslight you and move forward and make it feel like you're the one that's the problem, make it feel like you're the one that have all the issues, and they just won't do it. They'll really deflect that stuff back onto you, and make you feel like you're 100% to blame. If you guys haven't picked up the book yet, go check it out. Also, yeah, in the comment section, I also did the Audible version for this book, which I wrote 2 years ago. Fruitful Seeds: How I Planted My Seeds for Growth Throughout Separation and Divorce. This might be a good one for you, Dina. Really short book. The Audible version is narrated by me, and it's only 30 minutes. But you can get it free if you sign up for a free membership on audible.com. I feel like it was really raw. It was really raw and rough form of me. I'm definitely a little bit more polished now than I was back then, but I feel like it was a groundbreaking book in my life, groundbreaking chapter in my life, and I would never be here if it wasn't for the heartache. So you can take that. I wrote a quote on Instagram. If you're interested, go to Instagram. I am Coach Court. I wrote a quote on there that said that if you can transmute your pain into purpose, people will never see you coming. And this is why people who go to jail, go to prison, they'll go in, they'll read, they'll study, and they'll just come out much better. Some do. They'll come out with a much better purpose and a lot more fire and vigor than they did before they went in. Are you secure attachment now from a different attachment after your divorce? My divorce actually revealed to me that I was an anxious attacher. And I'm still not totally healed. That's going on about 4 years ago. Still not totally healed. I'm still, I say on my videos, I'm an anxious attacher in recovery. Still not totally healed. There's still triggers. There's still things that will bring me back to that unhealthy state and that unhealthy attachment. And I recommended this book to a lot of different people already. The book Homecoming by John Bradshaw. So it's a good book, helping you reprogram that inner child, helping you go in, reclaiming, champion that inner child, and giving them the attention and the love that they needed when they were in their developmental stages. and journaling, and just being mindful about some of the things that really trigger you and will bring you back to that state. This is why I think it's interesting when people say that I'm just going to not date people and I'm going to heal my attachment style. I think that's a bad idea. I mean, to do it for a good duration of the time, to just kind of get yourself familiar with it, familiar with your triggers, familiar with the childhood traumas. But what you don't practice, you won't be good at. So if you're not talking to anybody and you're not like remotely entertaining people, then you're just a love avoidant. Like you just turn into a love avoidant then. I feel if you want to heal anxious attachment, you have to go through the motions. You have to put yourself in the ball game in order to, take those L's, because you're going to take a lot of losses and you're going to ruin a lot of different relationships because of the traumas that you're trying to heal. And who knows, a secure person might come along and accept you for who you are and accept that you're on your journey of healing and you're on your therapy regularly and you're trying to not be as jealous and not be as secure and clingy and needy that you were in the past, and you may hit, strike jackpot there. How long did it take you to heal, coach? I'm still healing. That's the thing. Love addiction, if you ask me, all right, this is you don't take it with a grain of salt. I know people are going to get they've gotten bent out of shape before down in the comment section, but whatever. Love addiction is just like any other addiction. Once you find your love of choice or the object of your desire, it's really hard to control yourself and to not feel this intense sense of dread of losing that person. So you almost have to keep that part at bay, however you can. But yeah, I'm still gonna struggle with it. Like it's gonna be an ongoing issue. But as long as I'm continuing to do my work, doing the work, then I'm quite certain I can get myself to it. I mean, I'm secure now, when I'm not attached, but that may not last. My biological father is a narcissist. He denied and will never apologize for stealing my identity. I haven't spoken to him for years. Hence, going back to the narcissist, sucks being anxious. I will change. I felt I made such progress, but not sure now. Homecoming by Bradshaw. Yeah, it's a good one. Sounds like I need to buy some books. I journal, record myself too. That's awesome. Molly doing the work. That's the difference between, if I'm being honest, men and women. You'll get some really dedicated men that come into my I guess my clientele book, and they'll be dedicated. But for the majority of men, they just want the quick fix, like how to fix this right now. But for women really stick. So you guys stick with it. I have to applaud you guys of your commitment and your diligence. Like you don't just give up. Like you continue to work on yourself. It's almost like men will go to the gym religiously, but when it comes to doing the mental work, they feel like, I think we have it all figured out. It could be pride. It could be history. It could be, being a know-it-all or whatever. But for women, you guys are good at acknowledging that, hey, I don't know everything and I want to learn more and I want to heal my attachment style and be a more secure attacher. So I'm writing another book. This book I wrote 2 years ago, and I feel like it's kind of off base as far as what I do today, but it does give you a good amount of insight. Because when you reach out to a coach or when you go through a bunch of different YouTubes, you see a bunch of different coaches. You don't really know their background. You don't know their history. You don't know what makes them tick. And this book was written because I wanted to show you guys, and I want to be vulnerable with you and show you guys the pain that I went through and the way that I was feeling when I was in those situations and when I was, going through it. This is what this book was for, is to just kind of build I don't know, an artist. Instead of telling my story over and over again, this was something that was going to help do that. But I am writing another book now. It's going to be a little bit more on base of what I do today. This book is just one way of thanking me for the content, thanking me for the channel, and you guys just being a part of the community. If you can't join a membership program, I have 3-tier programs: $2, I believe, $10, and then the $25 a month, which is the 20-minute coaching session that you'll get. And right now I'm charging $75 for half-hour coaching session. So it's a great deal. I think it's tremendous value, especially if you're a YouTube member. I know you guys come from all over the world, all different countries. So definitely helps, especially with us going back into lockdown again, maybe, potentially. I'm 48, always trying to be better. Always. You have to continuously grow. If you're not growing, you're dying. Period. If you're not moving up, complacency is not a place that I ever want to be, at least for a long time. Anytime I lived in complacency, honestly, whenever I lived in complacency, that's when I've lost jobs and that's when I've lost relationships. It's a horrible thing to admit, but like I wrote in this book, when you've hit rock bottom, you want to grab a pebble and put it in your pocket just to remind you of the place that you're never going to be again. Because we feel that intense grief and that intense loss while you're in the situation, but when you're out of it and the person lets you out of the doghouse, they may take you back. We tend to forget just how painful that was, and then that's when you start to get complacent again. Which is why a lot of people are leery about taking back ex-boyfriends or ex-girlfriends early on, because they know that, hey, you haven't taken the time to really heal yourself, to really do the work on yourself. And they end up, getting complacent once again, leading to another breakup. All right, guys, I'm going to take off. I have a live session coming up here within the next half hour over on Instagram. So I wanted to make sure that I did my due diligence with you guys and just hop in here, talk a little bit about forgiveness and why forgiveness is so important. If you didn't hear it, go back, watch the replay. I say it pretty early on within the first 5 minutes. It kind of ties in with, like, when you're going through recovery and you're going through getting over some type of addiction, some type of substance, whatever. Forgiveness is a key ingredient to healing, because if you continue to hold on to that strife and that pain, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You have to forgive them for you and not for them. So thank you for being with me on this Monday. Love you guys. Namaste. God bless each and every one of you. Peace.